This is the Jack Murphy Podcast. Here's your host, Jack Murphy.
Well, we should have done this in the USA a long time ago if they had been really serious about getting people to stop smoking and not just interested in making a lot of money off the taxation of tobacco and alcohol and now drugs and gambling and everything else. You ever hear of a group of islands called the Maldives? I've never been there, but I've heard they're really beautiful. It's a big vacation spot for a lot of people. Listen to what they've done. They just passed a new law this month that bars people that were born after 2006 from smoking or purchasing tobacco products in the country, making it the first country to implement such a law. So individuals born on or after January 1st, 2007 are prohibited from purchasing or using tobacco products. By the way, this applies to tourists that are visiting the country also. I said this years ago. If the government was so interested in your health, our children's health, and they know tobacco causes cancer, and they continue to allow them to sell it. Now, I know that a lot of this is a freedom issue for a lot of people. Hey, I want to be able to use tobacco if I want to. And I don't know the answer to it, but I know this. If the government was really serious about it, they would make it illegal and you couldn't use it. They would make alcohol illegal and you couldn't use it. Instead, what are we doing? We have cities like Portland, Seattle, other cities where they've made all drugs legal. You can just shoot up your heroin right on the sidewalk. They'll even give you the needles to do it with. But the cost of like tobacco smoking, the cost is astronomical in terms of the strain on the medical system that it causes. And the government, they love the tax money they get from it. You know, back in the day, I was a smoker. I remember when you used to buy a pack of cigarettes for $2. I don't know what they are now, but I think they're like $7 or $8. And most of that is taxes that you pay to the federal and the state government for the privilege to smoke. But hey, I applaud the Maldives for having the cojones to outlaw tobacco in their country, and hopefully it'll lead to a healthier Maldives for a while, you know, until global warming really kicks in and their islands disappear.
Move over. Right up.
Hey, big news for rock and roll fans. AC/DC is touring this summer. They're kicking off a big summer tour. It starts here in Charlotte, where I live, July 11th. They're going to be hitting Philadelphia, Denver, Vegas, San Francisco, Atlanta, Toronto, East Rutherford, New York City, and more. Tickets go on sale Friday, November 7th for AC/DC. Love it. One of my favorite guys to watch on the talk. You know, I'm very progressive. I'm on the TikTok. I do a lot of doom scrolling. I do a lot of posting. My walks in the woods. My schedule has been off lately. If you've been wondering, I'm hiking in a new area, and I'm not comfortable doing videos there yet. I'll get more into that later. But one of my favorite guys to watch on TikTok is a guy who calls himself Killer Bee Nation. This dude lives out in Cochise County, Arizona. And he says that there are no domestic honeybees in Arizona anymore. They're all, they've all been taken over by the killer bees. And so he urges people, do not try to keep bees at your house because the killer bees will take over the nest and then the killer bees will attack you. And what do killer bees do? They try to kill you. But this guy and his assistant, they get called out to these places. It's always the same. It'll be a big stack of tires, tractor tires, or car tires, or it'll be an abandoned RV or a little outbuilding shed, and they'll put on their outfits and they'll go, "Them things done stung 4 guys over here over 100 times. We're going to get rid of them." And then he'll come up on them and they'll just go nuts. And he'll start spraying all the stuff around, and then they'll cut a big hole in it. Well, killer bees are bad enough, but believe it or not, there's something worse than killer bees. And they're spreading, by the way. If I'm not mistaken, I think they've been found. I could be wrong. I got to double check it before I say it. But I'm talking about the Asian hornet. A teenage boy and his father suffered hundreds of killer Asian giant hornet stings while they were ziplining on vacation. They both died from their injuries. The dad's 47, the son was 15. They were attacked by a swarm of these hornets in Laos. The American and their guide were overcome by the flying killers while they tried to zip line down some tropical trees. They were rushed to the hospital, but they did not survive. One of them, I think the son, went into anaphylactic shock because he was allergic to the stings and didn't know it. But apparently they kill a lot of people every year. If you've never seen them, these freaking things are scary. I found this video to show you what I'm talking about. Now, these are the guys they send out when they find them. They go out into the jungle to try to wipe out the nest. It's usually underground. But, I mean, these things they're like this big and bright orange. And occasionally, these videos are all over social media. But, I mean, even wearing these super thick outfits with these big cages around their head, even occasionally wearing that, you'll see one of them working on a nest and get stung, and they'll just start screaming and jumping up and down like somebody stabbed them with a knife. These things are really bad news. Let's just pray that, like the killer bees, they don't spread to our country. Did you know that killer bees are now in all 48 of the lower states? Yeah. There was a guy killed in Connecticut a year or two ago by killer bees, but they're in every single state except for Alaska. And you know what I didn't know? This guy from Killer Bee Nation, he's quite a character. You got to watch him. He's got quite a mouth on him. But I didn't know this. Maybe you didn't either. Did you know that the honeybee is an invasive species? That's right. Until the Europeans brought over European honeybees, there were no honeybees in the Americas. We had bumblebees and wasp and yellow. We had bad stuff, don't get me wrong, but we didn't have any honeybees. So the European honeybee is invasive, and now with the Africanized bee comes in and takes over the hive and mixes with the other bees, and they all become Africanized. It's terrible. Speaking of terrible, there's a trend going on that I think is terrible. I think it's terrible for the young people that get sucked into it. I think it's terrible for society in general, and I think it's terrible for the future. And it's this idea of the patriarchy. And again, this is something that these young people learn at colleges and universities now. Fight the patriarchy. Taylor Swift spreads this message. Fight the patriarchy. And, the whole idea is that a woman doesn't need a man, that a woman doesn't need to get married to be fulfilled, that a woman doesn't need to have children to serve her purpose here on earth, and that men and women are exactly equal, and that women can do anything that men can do. And there's a lot of truth to that. I agree. But I would say, and now a lot of influencers and publications that influence these young women or get involved. For instance, Vogue, here's a tweet from Vogue. They're out there spreading the idea that women today should be embarrassed about having a boyfriend. Vogue tweeted this out. Being partnered doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. It's no longer considered an achievement. If anything, it's more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. And I hear this and I see this more and more, that more and more men are giving up on women finding a wife. Men, listen, young guys, most of them or a lot of them, they still want to get married and have a family. But more and more of them are saying, I wouldn't marry one of these women today. They're not wife material. They're all whored out, or they don't want to be led. They don't want to compromise. They just they're just impossible to be around. And you can see it in our society. But I would suggest to you, if you are one of these younger women thinking like this, go find some older women in their late 60s, early 70s, who maybe never married, maybe never had children. And I'm not saying there aren't exceptions, artists, weirdos, that kind of thing. But in general, if you meet an older woman who never married, never had family, they're incredibly sad and lonely people. Same thing for men, for that matter. The good Lord made us to be in partnership with a man or a woman, depending on what you are. If you're a man with a woman, if you're a woman with a man, and intended for us to have children. That's where we get our joy, and grandchildren and so forth. And so don't listen to people like Vogue who are telling you that having a boyfriend is a bad thing. No, it's not. And you don't want to wind up some old miserable, lonely spinster when you're an old lady. It's no good. Well, I woke up this morning to the news that former vice president under W. Bush, Dick Cheney, was dead, the VP Dick Cheney. And I'm going to be honest with you. I have really mixed feelings about Dick Cheney. After 9/11, I really was pulling for George Bush, and I was a Republican, and he was our candidate, so I was going to support him. But Dick Cheney was the puppet master in that administration. And boy, nobody loved a good war more than Dick Cheney did. And I think Dick Cheney had a lot of influence after the two terms were over. And he had a lot of influence up until Trump came along, and then he got mad because Trump was more powerful. And then he really turned dark. I think he helped his daughter try to do anything and everything they could to hurt Trump. But I have real mixed feelings now about Dick Cheney. I used to like him, and I used to respect him, and then the more I learned about him, the more I have mixed feelings. I mean, I'm not saying I'm glad he died or anything. I mean, God, the guy dodged death more than anybody. He had about 400 stents in his heart, and then he got a new heart. He lived to 84. I think he had his first heart attack in his late 30s. He had a bad ticker. And you didn't want to go hunting with him. Bad shot. But we'll see how history judges Dick Cheney. I don't want to say anything else right now because I haven't had enough time to process it, but I'll just say that. I have mixed feelings about Dick Cheney. Now, I remember there was a company, I think it was called Jones Soda. And they've been around for a long time, probably 20, 25 years, but they used to bring a case of assorted Jones sodas to my workplace every year, back when I was a broadcaster. And every year they would come up with some of the most gross soda flavors you've ever heard of. The first one that they came out with and brought to me was a turkey and stuffing soda. I'm not kidding. And I thought it was a joke, and they went, no, we really make them. We really sell a lot of them. And I thought, who would want to drink it? So anyway, they chilled it off, and I took a sip of it, and it was terrible. But they made a whole bunch of different ones, cranberry, green beans. Look it up, Jones Soda. But every year, somebody has to come up with some weird, gross food. There's a grocery chain in L.A. called Erewhon. They're selling, get this, a new toothpaste smoothie. Why? They partnered with an upscale toothpaste brand, and, there's no actual toothpaste in it. It's just inspired by a mint toothpaste they sell. Okay, that's better. I thought it was a smoothie that had toothpaste in it. I was going to go, not me. But that's not all. Oreo is selling Thanksgiving cookies that taste like turkey and stuffing. Why? I say this all the time. Stop screwing around with the Oreo cookie. It was perfect. And then they had to make it thin. And then they had to add mint to it. Then they had to make one that was yellow. And they just keep on screwing around with it. It's too confusing. Just make the Oreos and leave it alone. And nobody wants to eat an Oreo that tastes like turkey and dressing. If we want an Oreo, we'll have one after we've eaten our turkey and dressing. So it's a package with 12 cookies with 6 Thanksgiving flavors, and it's $20. It's available only online. Don't buy that. Don't encourage them, because they'll just come back next year with something even more stupid and grotesque. By the way, while we're talking about Thanksgiving, some good news. Inflation is still bad. We all know that. But there's a lot of places where I see inflation getting better. Gas prices. I bought gas for $2.57 without my grocery store discount a couple of days ago. But food is one thing that's still expensive, particularly beef. Good grief, you would think it's made of gold. But, every year the local news stations, they have to do a story where they go, we sent reporter Bob Smith out to Harris Teeter to find out what it'll cost to feed your family this Thanksgiving. And Bob gets a little turkey and some dressing and a few vegetables and some cranberry. And he goes, this year you can feed your family of 4 for blank amount. Well, the folks over at Amazon came up with a good idea this year, I think. Amazon revealed that they're selling a $25 Thanksgiving meal. The grouping includes a frozen turkey, all the sides and pies, and is enough to feed 5 people. Now, I'm a little bit suspicious that they don't list what the sides are or the pies. And are these 5 skinny people or 5 regular American-sized people? Because I don't know. Anyway, you can go on Amazon and check that deal out. $25. Maybe you order 2 of them just to be safe. Here we go. Here's more information on it. The deal comes with an 8-pound. 8 pound? That's like a baby turkey. We don't want no 8-pound turkey, Jeff Bezos. My minimum turkey size is 12 pounds, and I prefer something up in the mid-teens and higher. It comes with an 8-pound butterball turkey, a decent quality turkey, crescent rolls, and a slew of pre-made sides, including stuffing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, and cranberry relish, and a holiday pie. You get to pick pecan, pumpkin, or sweet. Okay, that's a pretty good deal. I can't say anything negative about that for $25. I would like the turkey to be a little bit, maybe have a $30 deal, make the turkey a little better, a little bigger.
And make shots without a good foul. I do believe that was just a good hard foul. There was no malicious intent involved, and on Cadillac Anderson's part. So I agree with you.
Now, some people will do anything to get famous. They will, the Kardashians, a perfect example. They'll run around naked. They'll have countless plastic surgeries. They'll have babies with just about anybody. Whatever they got to do to be famous, they'll do it. And you've seen these women. What is the name of that show where the two plastic surgeons, one of them's wife was on that Real Housewives of Orange County. But anyway, they're two plastic surgeons, and people come into their office, and they'll go, how many times have you had your breasts done? And they'll, 7. Well, aren't they? They're not. No, I want them bigger. And, of course, they'll do it. For money, they'll do anything. But there is a woman, a glamour model, and I saw a picture of her, and she's from Sweden, and she was a very attractive woman. But she's obviously addicted to plastic surgery, and she has spent more than $100,000, and she wants to have the biggest butt in the world. Now, I got to tell you, that's going to be hard to do because there are some big, big asses out there. I mean, we see them all the time. There are people who don't spend anything who have enormous butts. But anyway, I don't know. Somehow I came upon a gallery. Her name is Natasha Crown, and she has an Instagram page. And every time she has a new butt implant or whatever, she posts a picture. And, I mean, that's big, but it's not, there's much bigger. She's got a long way to go. Let me put it that way. But the other thing is these people will inject all kind of crap into their body. This gel they put in your face and your butt and your breasts, or they put solid implants in there. You don't want to do that to yourself, not just to get famous. No good. It's amazing how quickly companies can sometimes recover from disastrous marketing or advertising mistakes. Like Bud Light didn't fix their problems quickly, but I think they're back on the right track. In fact, they were a little slow to fix it. I think they kind of took the position, look, we got a lot of other brands that are selling good. Let's take our time and get this right. And now they brought in a lot of celebrities and athletes that are advertising for them. And I think eventually they'll make it all the way back if they don't do something stupid. But I got to give props to Cracker Barrel, who completely ruined their business was bad already, but they completely shot themselves in the foot when they got rid of Uncle Herschel and they changed the Cracker Barrel logo. And they finally woke up after just a few days, and they fired the woman that was responsible for all these changes. But whoever they have running social media and marketing now over there, doing a great job. And the way you do it, you make fun of yourself. You laugh at yourself. Now people think it's funny, and they go, hey, that's pretty cool, Cracker Barrel. Look what they did. So they say, what if Cracker Barrel was in charge of remodeling the White House? and they put this out on their social media. Now, that's pretty funny. And it doesn't make anybody mad. Shows you the old logo, and whether you're Republican or Democrat or whatever, you might find that funny. But you can turn things around quickly if you get somebody with a little creativity and some sensitivity and knows what they're doing.
That funeral home preacher tried to throw me out for bringing in alcohol. I said, son, if people couldn't drink and get naked at my funeral, I don't know if I'd even care to die.
all of us know somebody or have known somebody that had some horrible addiction problem, some type of drug or booze or weed or whatever it is. And some people can deal with it their whole life and never go, so far that it ruins their life or kills them or whatever. A great example. I'll never forget. It grosses me out every time I think about it, but I'll never forget hearing Brett Favre talk about his Vicodin addiction. Yeah, he's playing in the NFL. He's getting hurt all the time. He's in pain, but they still want you to go out and practice. They still want you to go out and play. And back then, they were just handing out those Vicodins by the handful. And I think at one point he said he was taking 30-something Vicodin a day. And of course, by that point, it's really not helping the pain. And he said, I don't even know if I was really in pain anymore. I was on so many Vicodin. Now, this story is really gross, so forgive me, but this shows you how the mind of the addict works. He said that it was like a weekend or something, and he couldn't get a hold of the doctors in Green Bay or whatever to get more Vicodin. And he had already taken so much Vicodin that he got sick and threw up. And he said, I knew I had a problem and I needed help when I was down on my hands and knees picking out pieces of the Vicodin off the floor so that I could take them. That story has just always stuck with me and grossed me out. And when I read this story this morning, it kind of reminded me of that. A woman in Pennsylvania suffered severe burns. She's in the hospital, in a hospital bed, and she's on oxygen, and her boyfriend brought her crack pipe, and she tried to smoke crack in her hospital bed while on oxygen, and the oxygen blew up. And now, on top of all the other problems, she's got third-degree burns all over her face. Don't do crack. Don't do Vicodin. That's my tip for the day. Well, I want to thank you for being part of the Jack Murphy podcast. Hey, we got new subscribers. Thank you to all you new subscribers to the channel. We appreciate it. We just had our 1,000th audio download. So we're growing a little bit. We're happy about it. If you're not a subscriber, open a YouTube account. It's free. Subscribe to the Jack Murphy podcast. Like this video, and we'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode.
Thanks for watching the Jack Murphy Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Go ahead, ring it. Get alerts when a new episode drops. And tell your friends about the Jack Murphy Podcast. But only the cool friends, please. Tune in next time for another episode of the Jack Murphy Podcast.